apologizing when you're not wrong. I have a whole episode I did last year sometime, and the clips from it like got people really pissed off. But we as men, because we're raised to be nice guys, we apologize all the time when we don't have to. You've got to break that paradigm of apologizing when there's nothing to apologize for. But a good example of this, one of our beer club brothers in the gratitude group, we have a separate gratitude group where we just practice, gratitude practice, which is really good for your mental health. And the other day he was putting his gratitude video in there. And at the end of it, he's like, sorry for such a long video. No, don't apologize for it. There's nothing to apologize for, man. So I watched it to the end and I replied back to it. I said, hey, man, don't apologize. Don't apologize for long videos. He's like, I know, I'm just trying to break that habit. It's so hard to break that habit though, right? Apologizing when you're not wrong, right? So like, here's an example. She says, you made me feel like I'm not a priority. And then you say, I'm sorry you feel that way. I didn't mean to make you feel like that. Well, you're owning emotions that aren't yours. Instead of leadership, you offer appeasement, which kills all respect. Okay. You don't, just because she feels a certain way doesn't mean that you have to own that. Okay. There's no need to apologize for her feelings. Unless you truly wronged her in some way, you know what I mean? Like you really effed up, then maybe apologize and own that kind of thing. But if there's nothing to, like you're just doing your job and you're focused on your purpose and she's upset that you don't make her feel like a priority, you don't have to apologize for that. You don't have to say, I'm sorry, but I mean, you can own it and be like, oh, I can see why you might feel that way. Well, I'll work on making you a priority more, right? That's not apologizing for it. It's acknowledging her feelings and then having an action for it, right? Deflection, right? She says, you don't care how I feel. And you go, oh yeah? Well, when do you ever ask how I feel? With that, you've lost frame, right? You're now matching her emotionally and you're reacting rather than directing the conversation in a more positive way, right? Another one, last one here, over justifying or pleading, right? So I swear I didn't mean it that way. I was just trying to help. You're taking this all wrong. Why are you so upset? I gotta fix the baby maker. The baby maker's upset. You're like all these things. Do you see why it actually makes her lose respect for you? Because now you're basically justifying yourself to her. All right. She's now like the analogy of the courtroom, right? You're now on trial here. And she's the judge. Okay. That means that you're operating in her frame. So if she ever comes to you with these complaints, we'll talk about it here coming up, but there's various ways of almost like verbal judoing the conversation in a way where you are in control now. Right? You are steering the conversation from a position of leadership. Okay. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Guys, in the meantime, follow me on social media. The links are in the description. Get my free ebook, She's Made You Weak. It talks about the beatization process. The very beginning of the beatization process is what we're talking about today, right? Shit testing. Her coming and complaining to you is just another, form of a shit test. And how you handle everything with her is how you handle anything with her. I like to recommend people just assume everything she says or does is a shit test and act accordingly. Okay. There's lots of ways of handling that kind of stuff. We'll get into that, but get the free ebook. It explains what's after that, right? Like you start failing your test. Well, what comes next? Okay. So get the free ebook, check that out. You can also get my full books on Amazon or Audible. Yes. Everyone always asks me, hey, is this going to be available in paperback too? Yeah. Is it going to be available in hardcover? Sure. Is it going to be available in Kindle? Obviously. Is it going to be available on Audible? 100%. Okay. I want to get this information out to the populace because the more guys that learn this stuff and level up and get better with women, that actually a better world we're going to have. Okay. Because you're going to teach your kids how to have better relationships. And by just being in good relationships and leading them properly, right? Your kids are going to see that. They're going to grow up and see that as a model to have healthy relationships, and the world's going to be a beautiful place. Today, we're talking about frame. My book on frame is the one with the purple there. It's The Essential Skills of a Masculine Present Psychology Paradigm. It's all about reprogramming your subconscious to be able to handle this kind of stuff on autopilot. Let me play a commercial for that, and then we'll get back to the topic today.
Have you ever felt like something's holding you back in your relationships? Like you're always on the back foot, struggling to connect with women? You're not. Many men are taught to be weak, to defer, to play small around women by their upbringing, by society, by the very world that shaped them. But what if you could break free from the invisible chains that have held you back? What if you could rewrite the script? Reprogram the paradigm that's been running your life. This is your chance to step into the man you were always meant to be. In The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology Paradigm by Paul Bauer, the first book in R.P. Thor's groundbreaking series, you'll learn how to understand and transform the paradigms that have shaped your life. You'll discover how to develop a dominant masculine presence, one that commands respect, inspires trust, and brings fulfillment to your relationships. Don't wait for life to change on its own. Take control. Order your copy of The Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence, Psychology Paradigm now on Amazon. Available in hardcover, paperback, or on Kindle. This is more than a book. It's your roadmap to a life of purpose, strength, and success. Make the decision today. Reprogram your life and step into the man you were meant to be.
Yes, indeed. Let's put that away. Boop, there we go. All right. We got some people in the chat. Nurse Chick's in the house. She says, good morning, gentlemen. Happy Friday. Nurse Chick always gets one of these.
So naughty.
She's naughty. It is Friday. She is coming over tonight. Hey-o. Let's see who else we got here. Brother Omega's in the house. Paul Power. You guys got the original cover of this? I think the hardcover of this. Thor did the cover design, and he accidentally typoed my name on there with that. Like literally thousands of copies went out there with Paul Power on it. It was awesome. Thanks, Thor. Thanks for that. AJ's in the house. He says, what's good? Mike Steele says, Gal last night told me she felt safe with me and hadn't felt safe in years. Oh, my man. When women want you to solve problems, they'll tell you, can you help me? Yeah, and if you are ever unsure, it's okay to say, do you want my advice, or do you just want me to listen? Like, it's totally okay. Totally okay to do that. Oh my God. Brother Ed sent a $5 super chat. Loving the frame game. Hell yeah, man. All right, here. He's a beer club brother, so he gets bumped up to a $10 super chat video.
It's so divine, when closer to the line. Thank you, you're the best. Party on, we never end.
And demonetized. Riley says, hola, viva la raza. Yes, exactly. And guys, smashing like is alpha. There should be at least 24 likes on this video. All right, man. I am tired this morning. I don't know if you guys can tell. I in here, I'm a total space cadet this morning. So if I'm not making any sense, drop a 1 in the chat. Just, Paul, what are you talking about right now? Let's talk about the emotional toll of reactive paradigms. When you're a reactive kind of guy in your relationship, you suffer from some things like anxiety, for instance, right? When you're reactive, you're constantly guessing how to respond, walking on eggshells around your girl. Oh my God, if I say this wrong, is that going to piss her off? Oh my God, right? A little bit of a anxious butterfly there. You also, a lot of guys end up being a really angry people. Who here is kind of an angry person? I'm a recovering anger guy. The more you feel out of control, the more frustrated you become because your paradigm is built on reaction rather than intention, right? Have you ever gotten so pissed off in an argument at your girl, and then the next day you're pissed off that she was able to get under your skin, and you're pissed off that you were pissed off, and then it's just a spiraling out of control anger. And then you have a complete loss of polarity, right? Constantly reacting puts you in the feminine energy of emotion and not the masculine role of emotional leadership, right? She's getting you drawn into her womanly emotions. She doesn't want you climbing on her emotional roller coaster. Okay. She needs to see that you have your feet on the ground. That's your job as a man. One of my recent dead bedroom clients, this was pretty much his whole problem. This was his whole problem. I could see it when we had our first breakthrough call, right? They were meant that in that problem, the anger problem wasn't what he was coming to me for. He was coming to me because he had a dead bedroom situation. And the thing is like, if you have anger control issues, or you're very reactive. You know, maybe you aren't like shouting all the time, but you're always like making excuses and rationalizing and trying to justify, you know, whatever to try to make her happy, right? If you're that guy, she's gonna just lose attraction for you and not feel like banging your brains out all the time. You see what I see how that manifests into a dead bedroom situation. So this guy, the dead bedroom situation was just a symptom of the real problem, which was his anger problems, right? And so he on the breakthrough call, he ended up telling me of this like really bad altercation with his wife that almost got the cops called on him, you know? And I told him on the call, I was like, man, you're lucky you didn't get thrown in jail. And he's in a very liberal state. And I was like, that especially where you're at, like you would be, what is up with my beard? I would be, the guy would be totally screwed. Okay. You know, especially with like the Me Too movements and stuff like that. And I was like, man, you're lucky you didn't get thrown in jail for that kind of crap. You know what I mean? But how common is it? How common is it for women to push our buttons like that? Right? Drop a one in the chat if a girl's ever been able to push your buttons to a point where you're just like, you just want to like tear her head off. Figuratively, obviously. I don't mean that literally. Okay. Like I know I have, right? I've had some knockdown drag outs with my ex-wife and like previous girlfriends, right? Because I had anger issues, right? It was so easy to push my buttons and get me to a place where I'm just like exploding like dynamite. Anyway, so I'm not blaming you guys. There's no judgment here, right? But a lot of you guys just need to work on that and get that in check, okay? And it takes some effort. It takes some effort and constant awareness of where you're at. And, you know, we'll talk about this in a little bit, okay? But the biggest thing I needed to teach that guy was frame control and not being so emotionally reacted to his wife. As soon as he got that like under control, dead bedroom was fixed, right? Dead bedroom was fixed within a couple of weeks, okay? Like, so that's why it's so important. That's why we do Frame Fridays. Frame Fridays is super important. It's probably the number one thing.
New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Subscribe now.